Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Oh, you would. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. I fall up in the club, crank my dance on that hoe. I'm scoping out the scene, then I hit the dance flow. Y'all already know it is what the beat is. Soulja Boy ain't got no money, hell nah, you must be shitting me. But hit me on the net so I can show you where I'm from. Type it in, Soulja Boy, tell them .com. But back to the top, gon' do my dance on that hoe. I can crank my two-step and then I do the merry-go. Hey, crank that dance. Why me crank my dance? Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Why me crank my dance? Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Why me crank my dance? Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Oh, you would. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance.
I'm in the club wildin', now why me G? Now why me G? And now she all smiling because she did, and then she keep trying, but you can't get that. I can't do it like him. I been did that shit. Go well on marketing scene. Watch me roll and watch me lean. All the hoes be jocking me, cause all the clothes I'm rocking clean. All I smoke is lots of green. TC bout to bring it, man. You done seen me crank the club on and watch me crank my dance.
Hey, crank that dance. Why me crank my dance? Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Why me crank my dance? Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Why me crank my dance? Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Oh, you would. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. I fall up in the club and I'm in my max stance. And everybody screaming, Soulja Boy, do your dance, do your dance, do your dance, do your dance, do your dance. I fall up in the club and I'm in my max stance. And everybody screaming, Soulja Boy, do your dance, do your dance, do your dance, do your dance, do your dance. Hey, crank that dance. Why me crank my dance? Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Why me crank my dance? Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Why me crank my dance? Why me do? Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Oh, you would. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Hey, crank that dance. Watch me crank my dance. Do it. Soulja Boy, tell them. Soulja Boy, tell them .com.